You're tuned in to Voiced Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, a forum where we discuss and explore society-based topics while advocating and providing information and resources to the community through an unscripted, unfiltered, and authentic approach. Listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Music. Watch us on YouTube. Join our Facebook group. Follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Voiced Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast, your society-based channel. Here's another episode of Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. It is actually our grand finale of season 3. I am your host, and my name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner, yours truly state-appointed title holder to represent the entire state of Kentucky as Mrs. Kentucky Petite USA 2025. I'll be representing Kentucky in the national pageant in July 2025 in Chicago, Illinois. Before we get started, I want to take the time out to highlight our sponsors that make this episode and the season possible. So season 3, our title sponsor was Evergreen's Plant Shop Coffee House and Wine Bar, located at 4677 Alben Barkley Drive, Paducah, Kentucky. Evergreens strive to provide an experience as well as a great cup of coffee. So stop in for a great experience today. Our episode sponsor is Sycamore Counseling Services, a faith-based clinical counseling practice serving couples and individuals located in Paducah, Kentucky. They specialize in couples and individuals with relationship concerns, located at 517 Broadway Street, Suite 100, Paducah, Kentucky. And you can call at 270-331-5667. Where you can actually watch or listen to Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. You can watch us on YouTube, listen on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, and be sure to join our Facebook group. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Voice Thoughts Talk Show. I want to share an upcoming event with you guys, a season 3 wrap and recap free event. So this is where you can mingle with the guests who were on season 3 and also the sponsors and compact partners. This will be this Saturday, December 21st at 7 p.m. here at Evergreen's Plant Shop Coffee House and Wine Bar, located again at 4677 Alben Barkley Drive, Paducah, Kentucky. All right, so season 3, episode 12. The topic today, relationship myths. And our special guest is none other than Shelby-Rhea Miller. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. So we're going to get into some relationship myths and we're going to clear up some things. I think who better to have on the show but someone that is, of course, this is your expert,
Sure.
This is your expertise, your area of expert. So I want to, highlight or sponsor again, or title sponsor, Evergreens. They've been so amazing. And every episode that we have filmed here on their location, they have provided 2 featured drinks. So if you want to hold up your drink,
Okay.
you have a nice mushroom cup. So if you're watching, you can literally see Shelby-Rhea holding up her drink, and she's having a Thai iced tea, which is a sweet tea. So I want you to taste that and give us some description what you think about it.
Oh, guys, it's so good.
I'm a lover of Thai.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm sure that's good.
It has that nice chai flavor, but it's also kind of sweet at the end.
That
it's
is
yummy.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh man, I could drink all of this.
Oh, well, guess what? Whenever you're not ready to answer a question, just take a sip.
Yeah.
I'll get the the hint there. So I'm gonna hold up. Here it's a hot tea, but it's called London Fog, and this is served hot, and it's basically like a warm gray tea with vanilla and steamed milk. Okay, I hope I don't get a mustache from this.
I'll let you know.
I can definitely taste the vanilla. That's really subtle. Like I can tell it's a gray tea, but it's so subtle that, it's not overpowering. It's very, very nice. All right, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. Do I have a mustache?
Nope, not yet.
Awesome. So there are some, relationship myths, and we're going to break down some things and get into that, and I know that my audience and listeners will appreciate this episode for sure, because we all have a relationship, whether you're married or not. And so it's something that we can take away from this episode. So thank you again for being here.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So what are some of the most common relationship myths that you've encountered in your work?
Yeah, I love that you asked this. I think there's 2 that come to mind. The one that I hear of a lot is that relationships are 50-50. And I just don't buy that. I think relationships are comprised of two individuals who are wholly committed to growing together, to growing individually. And you want a partner who's going to be able to pick up the slack when you're at your worst. And you want to be the kind of partner who can carry someone through their hard times. And so relationships should ebb and flow. Sometimes it's 70-30, sometimes it's 100-0, but it's always negotiating that to care for each other.
Okay, I love that you said that, and I'm going to piggyback off that with a follow-up question. So if someone is in a relationship and they kind of feel like they're always at that higher end, is that a concern though? And I've seen, like some girls groups in Nashville and Paducah and different places like that. And I've seen oftentimes where, girls are venting like, hey, I'm always the one, like he hasn't had a job for 3 months or 6 months, it's been a year, and I'm doing this and that. So as you mentioned, there are times when it will be, 30-70, but what if that one person, whether it's the male or the female, you're always 60-40, you're always the 70, 30, you're always the 100-0.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah, that can be a concern.
Yeah.
Right. And that would be an imbalanced relationship. And so if you're on the receiving end of that for your girlfriends in Nashville or whoever it is, I would encourage them to make sure they're speaking up about that and to say, I've noticed this for a long time. I'm bothered by it. How can we fix it? And to bring that back into the relationship to resolve together.
Well, thank you for sharing that. How does the myth of quote unquote mind reading harms communication between partners?
Oh, Danette, I see this all the time in my office. And I sort of get it, right? It feels romantic if your husband knows what you need, right? And he can predict what you might want when you come home from a long day out in the office or something like that. But that just doesn't work. We have to be communicating our thoughts and feelings, and we can never read each other's minds. And so if we're expecting that from our partner or our spouse, we're just putting unrealistic expectations on them that they probably can't meet. And so I encourage people to be sharing their thoughts and feelings and to do the same, ask the same from their spouse.
I love that. Is the idea that happy couples, quote unquote, never fight true? Is that true?
No, not at all. Not at all. For me, actually, that's a major red flag. If a couple is not fighting, generally there's somebody in the relationship who isn't speaking up, who isn't asking for what they need, who's not sharing their thoughts or feelings. And that can lead to a lot of bitterness, a lot of resentment long term. And it might even be someone who's checked out. And so if a relationship has no conflict or disagreement, that's a pretty big red flag for me.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts on the idea of soulmates?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know that your listeners are going to like my answer.
Well, like, hit me with your best shot. We need it from an expert.
I don't buy it. I really don't. I love it. It's a Hallmark movie. It's romantic, all of those things. But the truth is, there's just not one person who we can have a long-term relationship with. And I think it creates a bit of a trap for people who are looking for a relationship, honestly, because you're always out there in pursuit of this one magical person. And what if you never meet them? What if you find them and then you miss them or something like that? It creates really unrealistic expectations for people who are dating. And so I firmly believe, and this is rooted in a lot of neuroscience and other forms of science, that relationship compatibility, you can find that with lots of people. And it really is more about individual health, that you need to be committed to yourself, committed to your individual goals, dreams, passions, and pursuing that in your life. And that the right person will be interested and attracted to that. Does that answer your question?
Yes, that does. It does. All right, and I love your answers are so straightforward, and you don't beat around the bushes, and that's good. And we need that, and I love having this perspective on the show.
Yeah.
And so when you talk about your individual self and all of that identity, I want to throw something at you.
Okay.
And I'm going to use myself. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, whether male or female, that they're free-spirited. I am free-spirited. I love time with my husband. I love time with my family, my children. We do a lot together, a matter of fact. We travel together. We go eat out together. We do a lot together. Yeah. But I'm that kind of person that has a mind of my own. at the same time where I enjoy my own company, or a drive to Nashville is 2 hours, but I can listen to my favorite songs or my favorite playlist, or, I just opened up a thrift store like 3 weeks ago. My husband has a restaurant. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And I want to be able to do the things I want to do without feeling that because of a relationship that, oh, well, I can't really be who I am.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on like spacing, having those healthy, space? I don't know if that comes under boundary, and what your thoughts are on that.
I love that question, Danette. And, I'm thinking about you specifically, and it's so cool, right? That you have a relationship that supports those dreams, right?
Yes.
That's such a special thing to find. And I think it's different for every person, what they're looking for in terms of space or other dreams. But I think it's really healthy to have those goals, passions, desires outside of your relationship, because our whole life is not our relationships, right? We exist in all these other forms outside of our relationships. And when you find a relationship that is secure and confident enough to support that, gosh, it's magic, right?
It is.
And it's so special. And so it can cause conflict, right? I'm sure.
Oh, yes.
If your husband has different needs in terms of time with you. And I would encourage you guys to continue to communicate that. And to state that in a neutral time, not in the middle of a conflict, to figure out how you guys can best support each other in that.
I love that. And I'll just share, from your point. Yeah. So I opened a thrift store 3 weeks ago. He has a restaurant that's very time consuming. As a matter of fact, I moved from Nashville to be here with him in Paducah, which is 2 hours away from where I own my house and built a life for the past 9 years, right?
Wow, yeah.
But I moved here because I know that his operation, it requires him being in his business almost every day. And so when I, started the thrift store 3 weeks ago, that's where most of my attention has been, because I'm trying to get it off the ground. So from marketing to setting it up and, opening the doors and having everything, creating concepts and stuff like that. And he did verbalize, oh, you don't have any time for me. And he didn't say it like we weren't in a conflict, but as you say, it's paying attention to those cues where he was communicating that. And so I kind of explained to him, it's not going to be like this long term. The goal is not for me to be in here. The goal is for me to get it up off the ground, and it's being, self-sufficient, if that makes sense. And I'm in and out. But what we have created, and I love it because it's like a new pattern, a new tradition. So his lunch rush is like 10:30 to like 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm at the store if I don't have a staff at the store, and I'm there, I'm going to be there because it's kind of like the birthing stage, right?
Sure.
And so when things kind of slow down at Loopy Larry's, well, he drives over to me and he buys lunch and we sit inside my store.
Oh, I love that.
And we've been having lunch. He's like, what do you want for lunch today? And so we'll either share a meal or he'll get something from like a taco place, and he comes over there because it's kind of like, pacey there. And the mornings are kind of more busy than, the evenings. And so he could come. I'm still there. My store is open. His store is slow. People are still coming in and out, but his employees are working it. And we're still creating that quality time.
Absolutely.
And, I want to ask you as well, love languages.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I love them. I think they're very helpful.
Okay. I mean, I didn't mean to, put you on the spot, but
okay.
I believe in them. And I'm glad that you do as well. And I've learned there's so many different free websites where you can put your needs and kind of see, because sometimes I feel like we love the other person in what we want to be loved in.
Absolutely.
And, like I've seen that before in previous relationship where, I love gifts and it's fine, but it's like the number 5 for me.
Okay.
And so somebody giving you gifts all the time, probably that's their love language, like meaning that's how they want to be loved. And so we've done the love language test and, found out, of course, like quality time is one of the top 3 for us, like quality time. So, I think, what we've created over the past 3 weeks is amazing. Just, coming there and having lunch together. And in the mornings, he's like, are you going coffee with me? And there are times when I'm like, I just want to go to the shop.
Yeah.
I really do, because my mind is on, I got some stuff to sort. And I have to be very intentional and mindful and say, you know what? Yes, I can drop Soso to school and we could go get coffee. Our breakfast. And that gives both of us a start to our day. We spend some quality time. Yeah. And now we're gone our separate ways for 2 separate businesses. Come back for lunch, come back for dinner. So,
yeah, those are kind of beautiful rituals that you build throughout your day to stay connected. I call those rituals of connection.
Rituals of
connection. And they're
connection.
really helpful. They help you stay stay connected, stay one throughout the day. And then it gives you the freedom to go and pursue these
Your
things that are on your
individual.
heart. Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. All right. So, can love alone sustain a relationship?
Ooh, this one feels like a trap. No, I don't think it can. I don't think that love sustains a relationship. I think this is a trap that a lot of people fall into. I use a form of couples counseling called the Gottman method. And the Gottmans, in all of their research for the last 4 decades, have found that there's really 2 things that help sustain a relationship, and it's trust and commitment. And trust is something that can be built in a relationship over a long period of time through lots of small things, doing small things often, like breakfast and coffee and all that together.
Yes.
But commitment is so important. And when couples can maintain that high degree of trust and maintain that high degree of commitment, then they find that these are the couples that last a lifetime.
I love that. You know, I've always seen, you know, relationships and like, oh, we've been together for 50 years. I'm like, I'm 35. I mean, that's a lot of work.
That's
It is
a
a lot of
lot of
work,
work.
you know, because you know, like, for example, I was raised in Jamaica. I grew up poor. I grew up in a single parent home. My husband was adopted, you know, when he was 18 months old. You know, he had a better life than I did. And he was raised Baptist. I was raised apostolic. And so you have different things and finding your way to make it work. And so, you know, what are your thoughts on like what makes a perfect compatibility for a relationship?
Yeah, there's so many factors that can make up good compatibility. There's that myth, right, that opposites attract, and that's not entirely true. There's core things that people have to be in alignment on, and those big things are, you know, how they want to live their life, their faith, what they want their families to look like, how they want to work. Like all of these things need to be in alignment to really sustain a long-term relationship. But then these smaller things we get to be different in, right?
Yes.
Maybe our movie tastes or our hobbies or our interests or things like that. But it's these big things that you and your husband share that have probably helped create a really strong bond between you guys.
I love that. I love that. Now that we have come down to the very end of our time together, if someone that's watching or listening wants to reach out to you for further, you know, sessions or questions or anything like that, how can they contact you directly?
Yeah, I love to hear from people. So if you're listening to this podcast and want to know more, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out by phone at 270-331-5667, or you can shoot me an email at info at sycamorecounselingky.com.
Perfect. Once again, I want to take the time out to highlight our sponsors, Evergreen's Plant Shop, Coffee House, and Wine Bar, located at 4677 Alben Barclay Drive, Paducah, Kentucky. Evergreen strive to provide an experience as well as a great cup of coffee. Our episode sponsor is none other than Sycamore Counseling Services, a faith-based clinical counseling practice serving couples and individuals located here in Paducah, Kentucky, specializing in couples and individuals with relationship concerns. And once again, I'm going to reiterate, she is on 517 Broadway Street, Suite 100, Paducah, Kentucky. Call 270-331-5667. Again, you can watch us on YouTube, listen on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. Join our Facebook group. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at Voice Thoughts Talk Show and Podcast. Remember, this Saturday, December 21st at 7 p.m., we are doing a That's a Wrap and Recap for Season 3. This is the grand finale. And so you are welcome to join us. It's a free event here at Evergreen's Plant Shop, Coffee House, and Wine Bar, 4677 Alben Barclay Drive, Paducah, Kentucky. Come meet the guests, the sponsors, the compact partners, and celebrate another successful season with us. I have been your host, Mrs. Kentucky Petite USA 2025. My name is Danette Mahabeer-Turner. I will see you in Season 4. God bless you.